Man of Prestige, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back. All right. Today we're doing a very quick reaction video. Okay. We're gonna dive in through this Melanin King's video. Melanin King is a young lady on YouTube that's obviously exposed to those of us that we spend time consuming content in the manosphere space. If you don't know her, shout out to her. I'll try to link her channel in the description. But we'll use this clip within the fair use guidelines, and we're going to react to a young man, young 60 years old. Okay, let me just make sure that the world can hear what I'm have to say, either as a rebroadcast. Right. Okay. Let's just make sure. All right. I don't hear anything. Let me just make sure. Okay, I think I know why. Let's see. All right. It works. Everything works. Just wanted to make sure that everything works. All right, good. So again, welcome back. So I'm going to be reacting to that video. 60 years old, single, shooting his shot, like talk your shit, right? He was shooting his shot at Melanin King, which I don't blame him. She's a beautiful woman. But anyway, there are a couple of things I wanted to react to just watching their interaction. And I thought maybe we can extract a few lessons here and there from it, right? So without any further ado, I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get into it. Let me see here. And pardon me, I'm still on the road, so I'm not in my studio, but I just want to make sure I don't go for too long before I come back. By the way, make sure you check out the other videos I have on the channel. I have some videos that I do want you to take a look at if you're struggling with dating and relationship and marriage in 2022 and beyond. There's a good chance that that's something you need to know. So please go ahead, and you can see the scrolling title, and please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and share this with your friends. Let them know what we're up to. All right, without any further ado, we got this very short video, a short video that we're going to run through together and see. This interaction was interesting, but also there's some lessons here for those of you that you're 21, 22, 23 years old, and you're like wondering when is a good time to get married, right? When is a good time to get married? The real answer at the end of the day is always going to be like, it depends. It's up to you. You could do you, right? But then I'm forced to tell you that there are consequences for your moves in life, even if it's not your fault, even if you mean no harm, even if you don't mean to hurt anyone or yourself. There are consequences, and those consequences can be negative. Just a few minutes ago, I was still on, maybe a few hours ago, I was on Clubhouse, and there's still people that are still saying, do you, just do what works for you. While that is, I'm trying to look for a nice way to put this, right? Yeah, it's always a terrible advice, okay? Because if we're all doing us and doing what works for us, there's no room for growth. We could just be ourselves, like be yourself, right? There's no room for growth in that conversation, because usually that's coming from a place of somebody is feeling like someone is judging someone, right? And I get it. I don't think judgment, blame, guilt, condemnation works or gives us any, or shaming or blaming. I don't think they produce anything positive, because we're humans, and as much as these things can look good on the surface, they can create negative impact on our emotions. All right. So, for example, blaming people, it just puts them in a position where they have to protect themselves, puts up guard, meaning they're not open to receiving whatever you have to say. Shaming people, same effect. Judging people, same effect. Right. But let's not be delusional, right? That sometimes you need the hard pill to swallow, because if it's anything close to reality or truth, the real sense of it, as in objectively, not just somebody's version of it, right? If it's anything close to that, it's going to welcome back. Yeah, is if it's anything close to that, it's going to be bitter. You know, it can be. It's not easy to swallow such things, right? So I just wanted to make sure I point that out to you. So let's. I'm gonna go ahead and play this video, and then we'll react to it together, and then we'll take it from there. All right. All right. Let's go.
And I don't have any beef with you. I don't have any beef with you or anything like that. But I just wanted to clarify some things that I didn't get a chance to go over last
Okay.
time. Because you gave me a hard time last time.
I didn't give you a hard time.
Yeah, you gave me a hard time.
What?
Okay. So as soon as I heard that part, I'm like, good, because honestly, I've been seeing these videos in my news feed everywhere, but I haven't really paid attention to watching any one of them, right? So this happened to be the first one I watched, and I'm like, oh, this is a good one, right? So the moment he said he gave me a hard time last time, I knew that it'll be good, right? Because sometimes when you don't listen to people long enough, you feel like maybe they're pandering to men and they're not telling them the truth. So the fact that he's already acknowledging that she gave him a hard time, a part of me kind of like that. Like, okay, let me listen a little bit further, because I mean, just look at your friends. If everything your friends are saying to you, if everything they say to you is something that you like, there's a good chance they're not telling you any truth. Just a chance. It doesn't always mean that, right? So let's keep going.
What did I give you a hard time about?
Uh, uh, I tried to tell you if I rent or own, and you said, it doesn't matter. You're in New Jersey.
Wait, I gave you a hard time about
I
rent.
tried to tell you about rent or own, and you said that it didn't matter because I live in New Jersey. Remember that?
Yeah, because you're trying to shoot your shot at me, but I didn't think we weren't a match.
Well, I understand that.
Wait. Rent or own, you shoot your shot at me. We weren't a match. Okay, so I'm not mad at this old man. He shot his shot, right? I mean, you see a beautiful girl, you shoot your shot. There's nothing wrong. I don't care if you're 80, 90 years old. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But then also, if you're shooting your shot, if you're taking any kind of shot at anything, not just women, you have to be okay with the possibility of rejection, like a mild version of rejection, maybe hard, right? Maybe unruly type of rejection. It could come in any form, right? You have to be okay with that, right? So now he calls back into this show to express his feelings on, I guess, how painful it was that there was rejection. She said we weren't a fit. Let's keep listening.
But but you didn't give me a chance. I don't think I got a fair chance.
Okay.
Give me a chance, a fair chance. Why do people keep talking about fairness in dating, relationship, and marriage? This is interesting, to say the least, right? Let me just tell you right now, there's no such thing as fairness in love and war. As a matter of fact, all is fair. I didn't make that up. It's the same. It's ancient. It's the truth. Okay? Why? Because the only thing that's fair about love and war is you can negotiate. And when we're talking about negotiation, then you have to be bringing some sort of value to the table. Not asking people what value they bring to the table. You need to bring some value to the table. And then also, I acknowledge that clearly they're bringing some value to the table. That's why you're engaging them. Because if they didn't bring any value to the table, you probably would not be engaging them, right? All right. So let's take the cap off, right?
Wouldn't I give you a chance? So thank you for my super sticker, Hilly U62.
Well, that
What
doesn't
I
matter.
give you a chance about?
Oh, well, that doesn't really matter. I just wanted to clarify some things.
Would you want to clarify?
All right. So he wants to clarify some things. By the way, I forgot what he said. I did watch it some few days back, but I forgot what he said. But I am going to kind of predict right now, halfway predict, because I already heard it, but I forgot, right? He's about to mansplain. I mean, by the very idea of him calling back in, he called back in to explain whatever happened on the last call that wasn't pleasant, right? That's precisely mansplaining, right? So let's keep going.
Well, No, I just wanted to ask you, kind of tell you about, my reason for being so quick to tell you that I didn't want children. It seemed like
All right. Sorry to stop it every second. So apparently on that last call, which I have never seen that call, I've only seen this one, right? Which I've forgotten this one, right? He he didn't want children, and he made that known to her that he didn't want children. Okay, but I guess whatever he explained at that time wasn't enough. He had to call in. Now, gentlemen, you need to be careful with this idea of explaining everything, especially to a person that you have romantic interest in. Now, we've already clarified that this wasn't just a panel or some kind of banter or some kind of. We've established that he shot his shot. He has romantic interest in this woman. Some people may claim he's out of his league, like he's mad, he's crazy, right? I don't think so, personally. I think it's okay to shoot your shot and it's okay to be okay with rejection if it comes, right? But then it's coming back to explain why he didn't want children. I mean, we could see that this is an older gentleman. It's okay if he doesn't want children and he doesn't need to explain himself. But here's the problem, he doesn't know that. So you need to know that not only if you're 60 years old, you don't really need to be explaining yourself if you have romantic interest. You can state the fact that I don't want children, but you have to be okay with other people who may not be interested in you if you don't want children, right? Besides the fact that we could see clearly that you're 60 years plus of age, right? That you probably don't want children, right? That's not abnormal. The main problem is not the wanting children or wanting children, not wanting children or wanting children. The problem is mansplaining. Shalaye, we call it in Yoruba language. That's a big problem when it comes to romantic interest. Okay? We call it romantic interest because attraction plays a big role in it, right? And if you're going to learn the art of seduction and learning how to seduce women, you're definitely not going to be over explaining yourself, okay? The mystery effect is a real thing. The less they know about you, the more interested they are, if everything else were equal. So it doesn't help anything by calling back into a show that we know that at least 50, 100 people may be trying to call into to explain yourself all over again. Again, it's nothing about this gentleman in particular, just in general. I just wanted to extract these lessons for you, right? So let's keep going.
it was kind of off the cuff and that I just really was totally against it. And I really, that's something that I have an issue with because of something I went through in the past with that. Um,
Wait,
I
what
had
was the
a
thing? You said you didn't want to deal with women who had children. Is that what you
well,
said?
no, I didn't say I
Clarify.
wanted. No, I said I didn't want children myself. 'Cause I've dealt with women that had children. I've dealt with women that had children before, but myself, I was, I've talked about this to other people because in the past I had a woman that I was living with that I had gotten pregnant, and we were
In the past, how far into the past? Somewhere within the last 40 years. Because if it's 60 and plus, so we're talking about in the past as far back as potentially 42 years, right? Somebody got pregnant for him, and what happened again?
we were set on having the baby, and she had an abortion on me without my knowledge.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I carried that around with me for a while, for a long time. So I kind of had to deal with that. So
What? How,
All right. So I'm sorry to hear that. I actually didn't pay attention to that part the first time I watched it. But again, it's very important to point these things out because if you go through that kind of experience, it's little to no wonder why, if you don't go through proper healing, you will mess things more over time. You will mess things up even more over time, right? Not necessarily because you want to do that. It's just, again, hurt people, right? Especially if she had an abortion on you. I need to avoid that word actually. The A word, right? If she had that A word on him without his knowledge, that can hurt a man to his soul, especially a man that's really never had the chance to build a family. Uh, that can turn a man into a red flag. So that's the first red flag right there. Okay. See, when I say someone is a red flag, 40 plus, 35, 30 plus, and not married is a red flag, it's not to shame them particularly, it's just to be aware that you're probably carrying certain type of trauma that you want to make sure you seek counseling, good, wise counsel or therapy, to make sure you don't project the pain of that onto your future relationships. But the chances of you having such trauma increases with the number of years that you stay single, because the more you stay single, the more clearly you're interacting on having encounters with people that can potentially put negative impact on you, because if they were good, you will be with them. If those relationships were good, you will be with them. The reason why you're not with them is because something went wrong. And when something goes wrong, it's not just enough to say, hey, it was just our fault or it was his fault. You have to, it's better that you pay attention to the impact that it has on you, either positively or negatively, right? So let's keep listening.
How old were you when that happened?
I was in my late 20s.
Late
But
20s.
you 60 now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with it.
Clearly not. He said he's dealt with it. Okay, now to Melanie, just because it's 60 now doesn't mean it's dealt with it. And then the fact that he just brought it up means there's a good chance. It doesn't always mean that, but there's a good chance he hasn't dealt with it properly, right? So that's something to pay attention to right there as well. And a second red flag is the fact that he's not willing to admit that he hasn't dealt with it, right? Yes, I've dealt with it. No, you haven't. You called into a show with over 1,000 people listening to at any point in time, live, to say, nah, I doubt it very much. Okay, if I was to bet, I would basically put money on it that he hasn't dealt with it, and that's why he's bringing it up, right? When women bring up issues from the past, when you're dealing with a woman and she's bringing up issues from the past, even though you've apologized a million times, you wonder why she brings it up, because it's not dealt with. Just because she apologized doesn't mean it's been dealt with, right? So how much more a man, that we know a man is typically will be over issues very quickly, and is bringing it up. But again, it all makes sense to me. If you're 60 years of age, you're single, never been married, no children, and you want that, particularly because you want that, because some people will say, hey, not everybody wants marriage. You're right. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people that actually want it, right? That doesn't feel good. That sounds like loneliness, right? Let's keep going.
Dealt with that a long time ago. I mean, I know I told you I went through all that story with going through all the things I went through.
That. Yeah,
and,
but you don't want children now at 60, do you?
No, I mean, well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm not totally.
All right. So before he goes into that, earlier he said he didn't want children, right? That's how they started the conversation. But now he's not sure of himself. That's the last thing you want to be as a man. Okay? You have to be consistent. By the way, it's easier said than done, right? But part of the measure to being a man, to your manhood, is your consistency level. But also you have to be sure of yourself. Absolutely. This one right here, you have to be sure of yourself. If you're not sure of yourself, you will get dragged all the time. Okay? Because number one, you don't feel safe in maintaining the position. So there's no reason why anyone should feel safe being around you, or buying into your story, right? It's wishy-washy. It's all over the place, right? So, yeah, that right there is another red flag. A man who is not sure of himself. A man who changes his words literally within the last 20 minutes. Less than.
Against it. You know what I mean? It's something that
60 is,
at my age,
I think it's too old to have children at 60.
Yeah, that's why I didn't expect you to say that, but that's what I really wanted to kind of go.
You know why you didn't expect her to say that? You didn't expect her to say that because again, you're looking for some kind of validation from her, right? So you thought you were going to say something that's going to make her happy based on the last conversation, which you said you didn't want any children. You came here to explain it, and now you find out that she's saying, like, hey, at 60, that's kind of too old, right? And then you're like, I didn't expect you to say that. Again, we're seeing the conversation going all over the place already. And that's what happens when you engage women and you're not sure of yourself. And the indication of that is you're arguing with women. If you're arguing with women, it's a sign that you're not sure of yourself. And again, like I said, it's okay. We've all been through that, right? We've all been there, done that. But I just want you to pay attention to that, right? He's all over the place. He's not sure of himself. That leads down the road of destruction. All right, let's keep going.
Go at you with.
But no,
And,
yeah,
and, I mean,
I think 60, just knowing what it is to raise kids and to have the energy that you would need to 60.
By the way, it's not necessarily too old to have kids at 60. It's not necessarily true that it's too old. It just depends on a few other, there are some things, she's about to mention them right now, to pay attention to. If you're having babies at 60, you're going to be 80 years old and, trying to take care of a teenager. And you're going to be disconnected from the world altogether. Because even myself at 42, my first is 14. The generation is quite different from mine. There's some things I'm disconnected from, but I'm still close enough. I'm as close as they get, right? I was 28 when I had him, right? But imagine if I was 80 years old and I'm trying to be a guide to a 14 years old in a completely different world, right? Yeah, it's just something to pay attention to, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's too old. But it makes things worse when you have a man at 60 that's not sure of himself, right? Because again, red flags everywhere. And again, if you're 40, you're not married, no children, it's a red flag. It's just it's not an indictment. It just means there are probably some things you should pay attention to, and you should probably talk to someone before you engage a person in doing life together, right? Because probably everything will trigger your security level. You'll be insecure in so many ways, right? That I don't expect you to admit to, by the way. All right, so let's keep going.
I I don't see many. Only people I see raising kids at that age, young kids at that age, are
Yeah.
generally grandparents who had to take over raising their
Well, I've
grandchild.
heard of people
Exactly.
having children at that age.
So he said, I've heard of people, did he say old people? I've heard old people having children at that age. Let me rewind a little bit.
Their
Well, I've
grandchild.
heard of people having.
He hasn't seen it. He's heard of. Okay, so this. I'm trying to be very respectful because this man is my elder, right? I've heard of people who are having children at that age. Okay, so not only have I heard of it, I've seen it. Okay, as a matter of fact, I have aunties that are younger than me. Okay, I'm a Nigerian, so I have that. Okay, but the issue is not what he's saying on the surface as usual. The issue here is that he's mansplaining. He's engaged in shalaye and approval-seeking behavior at his best. Nothing good comes out of that. Validation-seeking behavior, especially from a woman that you have romantic interest in precisely, it's impossible for her to respect you. And if she can't respect you, she can't love you. She damn sure cannot be in love with you. And I'm talking about the butterflies. It's dry. Yeah, everything will be dry from head to toe. Typically, I'm sure there's somebody that's going to tell me the exception. All right, let's keep going.
Having children at that age.
You
I've heard
do
of
you?
people having children in their 50s and early, late 50s.
Well, you,
There's people that have
well,
it.
I've
But
heard really, but at
you have to have
60, at 60,
patience for
that's
it.
at 60, that's a stretch.
Yeah, you do have to have patience for it. I understand that. But
Yeah, I just
that's
think
that depends on
I
the person, I guess.
I don't think it's wise. I mean, we all
Yeah.
can do something, but do you think it's the wisest thing to
I mean, at 60, 60 is really not that old. Circumstances can put people in a position where they're not married at any age. And I always say that, like, listen, if because of circumstances, some people could be sick. They could be sick in their 20s, 30s, and now they're doing okay. God gave them another chance and they're trying to build a family. You're not going to tell those people not to try to build a family, all right? And so what if they pass away earlier? It doesn't matter. Like, I think at the core of things, everyone is on their own anyway, right? Every human being will come into this human experience on their own. They may have come through somebody, biologically speaking, but at the end of the day, we're all on our own. And it's just an icing on the cake. It's a beautiful thing to have family, have father, mother, children, relationships that will nurture, that will build at work. It's nice, right? Because you get to know some of the best human beings outside of your immediate family, right? That right there is another evidence that it doesn't have to be your immediate family. But I get it that you want your own children, right? And you want to be there for them as long as possible. So, but the problem here is that he doesn't realize that. He doesn't believe that himself. So the smoke that Melanie is bringing to him, he deserves it, because it's a man who is not sure of himself, right? So now she's actively trying to preach to him to avoid having children at the age of 60, because in the first place, he didn't want children, but now he wants children. And that the conversation is about convincing him that it's probably not wise to have children. I don't think you should plan to be having children at 60. I think that's a terrible way of planning life. I don't think we should judge people that may have been in that position out of circumstances, which maybe his own is like that. We don't know all the intricacies of everything that goes into what created this man, right? So, but what makes this conversation worse is that he doesn't believe in himself. Because again, remember, he's calling into this show the second time, and he's a man who is not sure of himself. And to me, that's an evidence to the reasons why he's been single for the last at least 42 years. Or at least not being able to wife somebody off. Or at least shoot a club up somewhere, man. Jesus Christ. Anyway.
To do to have children at 60. And shout out to my
No,
new
not.
member, Amber. Hold on real quick. Amber, thank you for joining. Thank you, John the Great. That's one of my moderators as well, John the Great 18. I appreciate it. I know Jenny, what's her? Janae Aiko's, her dad just had a baby at 77. Yeah, okay, yes, people can do it. I'm not saying you
Exactly.
can't do it. I say, is that wise? Like,
But why is based on what? Okay, so I'm not disagreeing with that, because I'm actually here to talk about the men's lesson. But why is based on what? This is not the question they should be asking. If you're really going to have a good argument, let's say this was all for banter's sake. You should be like, what do you mean wise? Like, learn how to say, Melanie, what do you mean wise? Wise with respect to what? And let her explain herself a little bit more. If you're able to engage conversation in that manner, you may just find that you're able to stimulate a woman's mind, right? You'll be shocked. Some people will meet people, they didn't think based off of looks or aesthetics or just what it looks like on the outside. Maybe they're not doing well financially. That's the person they will never be with. But after a few sentences into a conversation, they will start to grow some kind of likeness for them. They will start to, that's why it's much more better to build your social skills, which for a fact this gentleman lack. Build your social skills, right? Emotional intelligence, because that goes further. That goes a long way, right? Into helping you attract what you want. Aesthetic can also only last for so long. How much money you got can only last for so long. And you can ask Bill Gates and what's his name, Jeff Bezos. Everything gets old, everything gets watered down. But if you have social skills and emotional intelligence, it doesn't get old, because number one is it's not stagnant. It responds to change in real time, right? And you're able to adjust accordingly as you move in real time. But everything else is good and just good for now, and then it gets old and watered down. It gets taken for granted. And the two two surface examples I can give you is money and looks. They can only last for so long. So I'm not worried about this man's looks or his age or anything like that. The problem here is social skills, right? And they had a conversation for 20 minutes is more than enough to make a woman fall in love with you. Even if she doesn't want to be with you in a romantic sense, she will at least respect you. And there's no respect here at all, because again, it's calling it the second time to particularly mansplain. That makes you lose more respect. Okay, it's not because you're at fault, it's just the way things work. Okay, it's an attraction, it's in our head. Okay, that's just how life is. Okay,
What kind
let's keep
of
Well,
going.
is that the
economically, yeah,
best? Is
economically
that the
probably is.
best? Yeah, is that the best start to give a child? In my opinion, I think some people are too young, and I think some people they can have children at a certain age. Too young and too old. But I think past a certain point is almost like
It's like, why?
why? I guess I would wonder. Like, not saying you
I mean, why
specifically, but
wouldn't you?
like what, like, would you be, and then plus with your lifestyle being a trucker.
Listen, women will tell you all of these different things, but the real reason why she can't engage you in a romantic way is because she's really asking that why. The truth is that there is a why. This man has no children at 60 and he wants one. That's a good enough why. But he's not even picking that up, right? He's having a hard time picking that up, right? He's about to come up with a different argument that's not matching what is really going on. Because number one, he's incapable of listening to behind the scenes of what she's saying. What she's saying is that I'm not interested. Let's be clear. And I doubt if any woman out there will be interested. Because guess what? For women, once another woman is interested in you, they become even more interested. Why? Why? Because they're bad people? No, it's just the way the brain works. It's the way attraction works, right? So what she's trying to say right now, oh, she would disagree, by the way, that she's not trying to say that. I expect that. What she's saying is that she can't see anyone, not even her, she can't see anyone be interested in you in a romantic way. And to me, it's very obvious why she will say that. Again, lack of social skills. Indicative by number one, a man who is mansplaining himself. Number two, a man who is not sure of himself. Okay? These are all red flags that you should work on as a man. Let's keep going.
True.
That's going to be difficult as well. So I pose these things, or I say
So he couldn't even say, I'm 60, I want children. What do you mean, why? He couldn't even say that.
these things because a lot of times, we only have our own thoughts and no one intrudes to them or questions them or challenges them. But if we truly believe what we believe, sometimes things are just an idea, but sometimes if you're challenged on it, it makes you think deeper and really clarify what is it that you really want. Like, what is it that because the opposition will either have you back.
All right. She said, what is it that you really want? Remember what I was saying? A man who is not sure of himself, right? He doesn't know what he wants, because on the last call, he didn't want children. Now he's not sure if he wants children. That's even worse than, okay, so that's even worse. So he said, last time you don't want children. This time you say, I think I want children. Actually, we can still respect that. People can change their mind. But when you open your mouth as a man, you say, I'm not sure what I want. There's nothing wrong with that. You're a human being. It's okay. I'm just letting you know, if you're talking to a person that you have romantic interest in, it's going to be that much harder for them to trust your core. And if they can't trust your core, how can they follow you, right? How can they respect you? How can a woman who naturally is always looking for something to submit to subconsciously, how can she submit to that? It's going to be harder because she has to protect herself, right? He's a very nice gentleman, right? If he ends up in his emotions right now, he's going to get dragged by a masculine Melanie, because she will feel the need to protect himself, protect herself. Let's keep going.
Down from your position and change your mind, or it can actually make you dig in deeper to what you actually feel.
Right. Well, well, in this program that I'm in, people sponsor me and I sponsor other people. So I've run this by people before, and they told me that, I mean, It all depends on whether I have the patience for it. You know what I mean? But it,
If anyone will have patience to raising kids in 2022 to be a 60-year-old man, that's none of the issues. That's not the issue. The issue here, it's deeper than that. But we could start with the distance in age, which means you'll be disconnected from the world of children you're trying to raise, just naturally, right? But that doesn't mean it's not doable. There are 60-year-old people that are young at heart. They do exist quite a bit, right? But again, an ideal man does not necessarily want to be chasing around a teenager, not at the age of 60, 70, 80, right? It's different when you have to raise them as a grandfather or grandmother. Circumstances is different. But for him, right now, because everything in the past is in the past, I will consider his own circumstantial. Like anything that's in the past is the past, period, right? But he doesn't realize that, so that makes things worse, right? He's looking for validation. Gentlemen, I don't care what age, I don't care if you're 18. Approval seeking behavior will work against you all the time. You have to be able to say, this is what I've decided. I own it with my chest. And if it's wrong, so be it. That's part of being a man. You can change your mind tomorrow. It's okay. You can also have room for growth in all of that. That's okay. But it's not okay to be sure of yourself. For you, it's not okay for you. Because no one can trust you as a man, including your own mother cannot trust you as a man. People will tell me all the time, oh yeah, but my mother didn't like the girl. Like, your mother didn't like the chick because you're not sure of the chick. All she really needs to see is to know that you're sure of what you like. And then she will butt off and face her own life or face her own husband. But the moment she feels like you're not sure of yourself, guess what she will naturally want to do as a mother? She wants to help you. She wants to help you, protect you. It's still an indication that you're just that much less of a man. At least our own idea. That's the only reason why your mother will come into your life and try to help you with your romantic life. That's the only reason. It may not look like that on the surface, but that's the reason at the core. Because when they know, I was just talking to a friend of mine who said, for me, my mother was doing this, but my sibling, they know not to go near him. It's that story everywhere, right? So again, I'm saying this respectfully. I'm just saying, be aware that women will try to help you if you're not sure of yourself. And this whole call so far, how many minutes in? 6 minutes, has been a situation when a woman is attempting to try to help a man. And, kudos to the Melanin Kings of this world that advocate for men. But that's a big old but. That's a big old but, right? Let's keep going.
it's a hard, it's a hard pill to swallow to say that you're too old to have children. You know what I mean? Because everybody wants to have, if there's a chance. Because I spent a lot of my time, my early years, trying to get to this point. And now that I am to this point, I'm like financially stable and I have things going on that I needed to have going on earlier.
All right. So if you're trying to be financially stable before you start building a family, that could be a losing battle. It's not always a losing battle. Some of you are so intentional, you're paralyzing yourself, right? But the truth is that you don't really determine if you're going to be married at any point or time. Like, there's too many variables. Like, a wife is not going to just fall out of the skies at 35 when you're ready. Things may just get harder. The generation may just change. Remember all the bitching around about how these women nowadays are different? Things change, right? So you're not necessarily in control of that. So imagine you're 27, 26, and you found a queen, and then you're like, nah, I'm not ready, right? Actually, I would agree with you that you're probably not ready if you're not that sure of yourself, right? But I'm just saying, don't pre-plan for that kind of stuff. Being ready, we have to redefine what that means, okay? Because if you spend the first 25 years of your life and you're not ready, there's a good chance you're not going to be ready at 35. There's a good chance you're not going to be ready at 40. And we have an example of a person who was not ready until 60. And from all indications, from me listening to him right now, he's still not ready at 60. Still not ready at 60. Right? So, let's keep going.
I mean, I don't want to really, I don't want to think
Yeah,
that
I
it's too
mean,
late for
I
me.
know it. I know it may hurt, or you may not be what you want to hear, but it's. I mean, biologically, you can still have children. So if you choose to do it, and you find the right, like the woman wants to, and she's still at a fertile age, then yes. But the other thing about you're finding a woman who's at a fertile age at 60, so that means you're going down probably
Well, I
30
mean,
years, about 30 years to get
yeah.
that woman, and then have being able to find that woman who wants to do that, and comes with everything else that you want.
So with this level of social skills, let me let her land actually.
I'm saying it's going to be difficult. It's just like a woman, my age and older, over 35. The reality is your body stops producing eggs. So women, this is the thing. Men can make mistakes early on and then change.
No, you can't talk on both sides of your mouth. Men can make so many mistakes. Of course, we're allowed to make mistakes, but there's only so many mistakes you can make. At 60, no, we can't keep talking about mistakes. We got to fix this properly. All right, we got to get to the work and do the work. Right, we can't keep like mistakes. Yes, it's allowed. Of course, that's part of the formula that makes up success, right? But at some point, you keep making the same mistakes over and over again. You gotta be like, wait, I gotta change something, right? So, and she's about to go in that manosphere talking point that women have the biological clock, but a man doesn't. That's because you're focused on only biology. The majority of what carries this whole thing called romantic relationships, what you actually want out of romantic relationships is mental, social skills, emotional intelligence, emotional. That's why you'll see people get together at 77 and they're still like, hey, I like her. I want her. People get married at those ages. But it's just usually somebody who has been married, who had been married before, right? Which means that's a sign that they don't, they're able to get a person. There are people that have married 5 6 times. So you can't tell me that there's nothing off if you're 35, 40, and you haven't at least shut somebody's club up. Something, some, even if there's nothing, at least you want to make sure there's nothing. That's what I mean by red flag. It's not designed to shame. It's just pay attention. There's just maybe something that you can adjust a little bit, right? Maybe you can create a better results for yourself, right? And it doesn't help to say I did this by choice. It doesn't help. And if you really mean that, and you mean that, so help you God. I'm not talking about you, but I know for a fact that most people saying that, that's just a way to make themselves feel better. I'm just single by choice. Yeah, right. That's why you're watching 6 7 videos around relationships and marriage a day. Yeah, I think you should, never mind me, go in front of the mirror and talk to the guy in the mirror. Tell them the truth. Not your version of the truth, the actual truth, right?
Things up. I don't think it's always wise to do it, but
Hmm.
you are still biologically able to. But for a woman, if she doesn't get on the ball early, for her, she ages out. It's not good to hear. It's hard to hear as well, but it's the reality that a lot of women are not seeing nowadays. Like,
Wait, you have a man in front of you that have a hard time facing reality. We go to talk about women. This is why you need to come to Men of Prestige so I can tell you the truth and not make it about women, okay? Because I guarantee you, I will talk with respect to women, of course, because that's what you want. But the responsibility is yours. The accountability is yours, not the woman's, not the other man's. You don't get to judge other men either. You don't get to worry about other men's looks, what they do with their money, or you don't do that. You don't. There's no. You can't create success that way. You measure yourself against yourself. Doesn't matter if you're a man or you're a woman. You are always measuring against yourself yesterday. You're trying to be a better person today. The moment you start comparing yourself with other people, guess what happens? The grass seems greener on the other side. You feel me? Yeah. Let's keep going.
for you wanting to have children now at 60 is the same as a woman who is starting out wanting to have children at like the late 30s, 40.
Okay, all right. But as far as relationships, I mean, and I'm coming back out a little late,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm starting all over again with that. So
Yeah.
I had an 8 year gap, and
8 years. I wouldn't say it's that late. The issue here is social skills. The same issue he had when he was 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 33. The same issue. Social skills, emotional intelligence, learning game, learning how to stimulate a woman, learning how to make a woman want your baby. Social skills, the same issue. It's not too late. There are men that are 80 years old that have a hard time getting out of the game. Believe it or not, that's the reality, right? Why? Because they can hold a conversation and make a person feel like a freaking queen, even if she's not. Most of them are not, right? There's only one queen in England that's popular today, right? But when you know how to make a woman feel like that, right? She doesn't necessarily control how she feels. Just like you don't control how you feel. You can learn game. You can have some self-control. But the point of self-control is because sometimes we're not that capable of how we feel or controlling it, right? That's the whole point of self-control, because you can lose your shit just because you're put in the wrong position, right? Because you're human like the rest of us. Game. Of course, it gets, you can't, it's hard to teach old dog new tricks. That's a fact. It gets harder, right? But at the core, the real issue is not the age, it's him, right? If he comes back into this life after he's 100 years old and dies, and he comes back with the same personality and the same issues, he will repeat the same results over and over again, right? Social skills, emotional intelligence, right? That's what this issue is. So it's not really the age, but of course, she would tell you it's the age because that's the obvious reasons. You're 60 and you still lack game. Like, have you ever heard you're 60? I can't tell you're 60, right? There are actors out there, actors, actresses, both in Nollywood and Hollywood, that there's women still drooling over them of all ages. So it's not necessarily because of their look, it's the way they carry themselves. Of course, some of them are looks, but you get the gist. It's not all the looks is the least issue here, right? Unless there's something extreme, you know. But don't act like you don't know any short, fat, ugly guy that's getting all the chicks. Don't act like that. Don't do that to yourself.
It's something that's I got to kind of start from square one on that. And in the dating market today, is going to be an uphill battle for me. And I'm
Yeah, that's what I
thinking
mean.
about
Dating
places I
market.
need to go.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle. And think about it, when you have children, it is,
It's
especially
definitely going to
young
be a uphill
children
battle
like
for
that,
him.
babies and things like that. It's the energy level. You may want to travel more. Usually, people as they get older, they want to relax more.
What? People travel all the time at old age. What is she talking about? But again, that's what you're getting on this YouTube. Shout out to Melanie. She's trying to help. But no, definitely not. People travel up to people die on the fucking cruise boats. Are you kidding me? That's not the reason here. The real reason is social and emotional intelligence. Social skills, to be particular. Game. Okay? Not knowing how to engage a woman. Do you want kids? I don't want kids. Period. There's more than enough women that will get with you that will change their mind if they want kids or not, just because they want a piece of you. Or if you want kids, they're like, yeah, I already have 3 kids, but I'll give you 20 more kids, god damn it. Just because I want you. Right? That happens all the time. If you haven't seen it happening, it's your circle. That's just in your circle. Let's pay attention here, right? Let's keep going. She's just a young lady trying to help him. Your wife would try to help you like this sometimes, but she's a woman. At the end of the day, there's only so much she can help you, because she's not in the market for herself or for her own gender. She's in the market for the opposite gender. She can only present what she can present. Yes, sir. Shout out to Rashawn. I see you, Rashawn. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Shout out to all 1, 2, 3 people watching live. Shout out to everyone that will watch rebroadcast. Thank you so much. Good to see you, man.
Travel more. The patience isn't there. The energy to keep up with the schoolwork. I mean,
So I'm
there's layers to this beyond, like,
it,
people
I
say, oh,
agree
I
with
want to
that.
have a child, but you have to think about it at every stage and where you truly want to be. Like, if you had a baby right now at 60, the child will be 10 when you're 70.
Yeah.
Right.
And that mean and then, that means they'll be 80 by the time you'll be 80 by the time they, hit 20. So let's just say you found, like, got with the woman, got things together, you were able to do it, let's say 63. It's going to be,
Right.
the child will be in preschool at like retirement age, like in terms of, the age of that. So that's why I posed that to you, because
Oh, by the way, these are real issues that she's saying. She's not wrong, right? And by the way, I think a typical man already knows that they don't want to be raising kids at 70, 80. A typical person, like, that's the norm. Do not want that, right? But I just think it's the least of the issues, right? So right now, since we're telling him all of this, right? Is he able to run into the marketplace and find him a girl that wants to be with him and have babies? That's the real question we should be talking about, right? Is he able to do that at the age of 60 after being an adult for 42 years? The answer is no. Okay. Oh, is it because the dating scene is different? All these chicks are for the streets? Nah, this has been happening for 42 years. This is yet another evidence that if you're struggling in this dating scene, it's you. Because niggas are picking up chicks and bagging chicks all the time at the end of the day. Oh, but they're not able to keep them as a wife. You're right. But that's also wrong. Because people are getting married too from time to time. All right. Not only that, there are people that do it quietly. There are people shooting clubs up and they live together and they're trying to make a family work. There's all types of different versions of that. No, forget all of that. Some people are actually getting second wife, third wife, fourth wife. Did you know that? Or you're just gonna stay in your own world and act like this is just terrible everywhere? Yeah. The issue here is him not being able to get into the marketplace and have forget the marriage. Have a simple conversation with a young lady. Laugh, banter, have some fun. Don't take life too seriously. Yeah. What makes people say, "I want a child, I want children"? The last time he called in and now he doesn't. It's too taking. You're taking yourself too seriously. You don't have to pander to what she wants to hear. You don't have to. Say what you want to say and own it. Okay? You're still going to be accused of pandering anyway by lames. Just hold your own position, and people have no choice but to respect you. And that right there is the baseline. That's the foundation. If you're going to get a chick to fall in love with you, or to have the idea, or to enjoy the idea of spending time around you, you're going to need the bare minimum respect, because when you get that respect, it affects your confidence level too, and you're able to show up even better, right? But it's all worse. It gets really bad when you're seeking validation from the outside, especially if it's from a woman. Okay, not her fault. Just again, the intersexual dynamics and our social constructs, it works against you because you question yourself, you question every move you make. It just works completely against you at an emotional level, right? We can tell when you lack confidence, we can tell when you have low self-esteem, we can tell when you lack self-respect. The number one way to tell when you lack self-respect is that you keep attracting disrespect. If every time you engage women, I don't care if it's a panel, there's somebody disrespecting you, you lack self-respect. He or she, yes, including he, is just mimicking the level of self-respect you have for yourself. If you have an example of an exception out there, show me. Okay? I'm not talking about somebody you met randomly on the street who decided to disrespect you. Clearly, that person is mad. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you've engaged a person for a little bit, and every time you've engaged a few girls for a little bit, you're the same dude. You keep attracting disrespect. That's you, bro. That's you. And I guess I want to encourage people to do anything they can do to find love, but I can't help it but to point out that if you're calling into a dating show with a woman twice in a row and that's a red flag, and then you call onto the show and the first thing we can see is that you're not sure of yourself. That's two. And then the next thing we can see, you're mansplaining, you're explaining yourself. That's three. But really, if I really want to sit down and start counting, there was probably 7 different red flags here already, right? That this gentleman can work on. We can tell that social skills is lacking, right? and is listening attentively. He wants help, but he's seeking help in the wrong place because she's not on there to be therapy to people. She's running a business, content creation business, right? And she's not doing anything wrong. She's just speaking her opinion, right? So it is what it is. Let's play a little bit.
I don't. It's the same thing I would pose to a woman. Same thing I would pose to a woman in her late 30s, 40s, and says now she wants to get married. Now she wants kids. I'm like, for her, actually, the biological clock may have run out.
But that's the least of the issue. That's one of the problems in this society. You're talking about biological clock when people have other options. People do have other options. That's the reality. The problem is that you don't want to face reality in this space. The reality is that people have other options. You may, like, if biological clock runs out, it is what it is. That could be circumstantial. It could be her husband died. It could be because she's divorced. It could be because of circumstances beyond her control. That has nothing to do with dating. The question is that, are you able to get out here in this scene right now, in this dating scene, and bag anyone you want? Either you're a man or woman. Because if you're a woman, there are skills you need to learn too, to learn how to secure the man you're looking for. There are skills. That's why that same chick keeps getting all the guys, and there's something with you. You're still single. You're still on the market for a reason. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. That has nothing to do with biological clock. That's you trying to tell me you're that intentional. No, you're not as intentional as you think you are. You're just a human being, okay? And you're gonna try your best to set goals and plan, but God is gonna laugh at you and say, I control this shit at the end of the day. I run this shit. You don't, right? We're going to try our best to do what we do. What you can control right now is in this moment when you interact with me as a human being. Can you hold a conversation? Can you stimulate my mind as a woman? Right? There are ways that women can move that will just, like, she's not the prettiest, but she does something to me. We call it, sex appeal? There's something, right? Like, I don't know why, but she makes me want to, right? Come on now. Same thing for a guy. There's a way a guy moves that consistently the same dude keeps bagging everyone. It's not just because it's Pookie and Ray Ray. It's social skills. There are guys who are physicists who can do that. It's just typically not, but you get the gist, right? Because typically there's these guys that can read all the books in the world, but they lack social skills when it comes to interaction with other human beings. Not only with women, you can see it even when they're interacting with a fellow man. Everything is about barking up the wall for them. They can't hold a conversation. They get hurt. They get butt hurt. They get in their feeling all the time. Right? Which is why they tend to engage all kind of mansplaining. How you doing, Just Jay? How are you? How you doing, my sister? Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Yep. It is social skills. It comes down to social skill, Roshan. That's what it comes down to. Emotional intelligence. They even teach that in the corporate world, believe it or not, in leadership class. They teach that, which is mastering your own emotions first before you try to master other people's emotions, right? But social skills is like, hey, the way I move creates an impact on the other person, and it's a two-way street. But at the end of the day, I can't use that as an excuse. I can only worry about how I move and then pay attention to the kind of effect, right? Excuse me on that. Right? That's all I can do, right? I can only control myself. I can't control other people. And this attempt, anyone that's attempting to control other human beings, that right there is another sign of lack of social skills. You can't control other human beings. The only thing you can do is influence. That's it. That means when I say influence, what's the difference between influence and control? One involves patience. The other one, you want it now. Like right now. How else can you tell me that you lack game, that you're lame, if you want it now? And we're talking about your dealings with another human being. How much more a woman? She would drag you for filth. Let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. I used to play this when we launched the platform. This is what's going to happen when you lack social skills.
Quit with me, nigga! Fuck wrong with you, nigga?
Come on, where my glasses?
Get off of me before I jump your goofy ass again. Now beat that, bitch ass nigga. Pay for this shit, hurry up.
No,
Pay
come
for
on.
that shit and hurry up before I drop your
Yo.
ass again. Touch me, then I'm
Yo,
gonna drop
stop
you.
video for it. They
Quit
help
touching
me.
me.
You got my key.
Quit
Nobody help
touching
you.
me, bitch.
No,
Nobody
come
help
on.
you.
All right. So, unfortunately, thank you, Rashawn. Thank you for all 5 people watching me right now live. Thank you so much. Please share, like, subscribe. Unfortunately, this video still I was only halfway through, but I can talk for ages. But go back and rewind and watch. I think it's a good session. On the next session, I think in 2 days' time, I think I will talk about what is it? They have it scheduled already. I think it's. Let me tell you right now, just to let you know that you don't want to. I'm going to talk about this will make you a red flag to a feminine woman, right? So, is that what you want? A feminine woman? Yeah, I will share a few things that will make you a red flag. And it's real data that I collected. I'm going to break it down because women will say one thing, but they actually mean something else. Not just women, by the way. Men do that too, especially in 2022. But we're going to talk about that, in 2 days' time. Same time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I'll be hanging out for just an hour. I want to keep it easy for you to consume because I know that you have a life and you have other things that you want to do. I definitely don't like the culture of people sitting on a live stream for 5 hours and a bunch of young men sitting on the live stream for 12 hours. And yes, shots fired. I don't care how much money you're trying to make. I think it's actually creating terrible results, and we can see that. If we just look around, you can see that 1 hour should be good enough. But yes, please like, share, subscribe, and hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. And I'll see you on the next one. And peace.